12s, welcome to Seahawks Now. I'm Aaron Coe, and this is where we dive into the news and analysis of everything Seattle Seahawks. By the way, the Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl 60 champions. In case you missed that, let's dive into it now. I really thought the defense won the day. Devin Witherspoon, best player on the field, in my opinion. He would have had my MVP vote probably. Nothing against Kenneth Walker Jr., who was outstanding as well. But Devin Witherspoon was fantastic. He has the sack. He forced an interception that Uchenna Nwosu returned for a touchdown and was in the backfield a bunch. Did a nice job in coverage. You really didn't hear his name being called as far as giving up completions. He had the one defensive holding penalty, I think it was, but no harm there. Just a outstanding player. Just an electric guy to have on the team. So it was fun to see that. Derek Hall also had a fantastic game. Really a fun guy. He was kind of a goofball on the last day of media on Thursday. By the way, I was able to cover this game as a journalist, and it's just an absolute dream come true for me to be able to be there and be a part of watching that and covering it. But Derek Hall at the last day of media on Thursday, just goofing around, shadow boxing, running around interviewing players, and I really enjoyed him. It was a lot of fun to see that. So I was curious to see how he would do in the Super Bowl because he seemed super loose, and it paid off. He had 2 sacks all season long, and he had 2 in the Super Bowl alone. Just a fantastic game by him. Byron Murphy, a beast all year, really. I mean, we kind of wondered, last year in 2024, didn't seem super dominant, but this year he came in and has just been a bully all year, an absolute dog in that backfield. Caused the Patriots problems all game long by pushing back the middle of that offensive line. And he had an outstanding game, obviously, as well. And then Ernest Jones, the fourth, really my favorite player to talk to. I just love listening to him talk. He's a dog. He's a throwback. He's emotional. It means so much to him. And, he was emotional after the game thinking about his dad. He promised his dad right before he passed away that this would be the Seahawks year, and he certainly helped deliver that promise. So that was exciting to see that for him. Bittersweet because his father wasn't able to see it with him, but maybe he was watching from somewhere, right? So it was really great to see that for Ernest Jones. The Seahawks really dominated this game defensively. Drake May had a couple late touchdowns, of course, but just had 110 yards through 3 quarters, and that's basically when the game was over. He did have that 35-yard touchdown pass to Matt Collins early in the 4th. Very pretty throw. You can see the arm talent there. But then he had another late touchdown as well. So the Seahawks were not able to be the first team to ever shut somebody out in the Super Bowl. But really, those 3 quarters were so dominant that it was an outstanding performance by that dark side defense. Okay, so Kenneth Walker, he was just absolutely electric in that Super Bowl. He had a fantastic game. Was he the MVP? I don't know. I mean, the defense was the MVP, but who do you vote for as an individual? I kind of understand why Kenneth Walker won the MVP. He had the stats. He had the 27 carries for 135 yards. He also had a 49-yard house call that was called back, unfortunately, that really would have put an exclamation point on that MVP. And he's had big plays throughout his career, but I've seen him become much more decisive in these last few weeks when they really needed it most, especially with Zach Charbonnet going down. He's been a different dude these last few weeks. They really got to look to sign him. It's hard to pay running back sometimes, and he has been banged up at times in his career, but he seems like a guy that got better as the season went along. He gets better as games go along. He was fantastic and really helped keep that offense on the field long enough to give the defense enough rest to go out there and crush the New England Patriots offense. So great job by him today as well. And then obviously the big story all year has been Sam Darnold. There were a lot of questions when he was signed. They're like, hey, this guy was a bust in New York. He was a backup. And then he has a nice season in Minnesota, but he can't win the big one. Well, guess what? He just kept on winning the big ones this year. He started with that Week 16 comeback versus the Rams, but people were still like, surely he's going to choke. That's all he's done. Well, the thing about Sam Darnold, though, yeah, he was not very good with the New York Jets, but there weren't a lot of big games for him to play in because the Jets are kind of like the Cardinals of the East. The Jets gonna jet, right? They're gonna suck. So he was mostly guilty of being drafted by the Jets, which isn't really his fault. But so I think this kind of can't win the big one label was a little bit silly. When how can you win the big one when you don't play in big games because your teams aren't any good? I mean, the Carolina Panthers also not any good. So, and then I think, so we get to that last game of the regular season. The Seahawks go to San Francisco, and it's can they win that game and get that number 1 seed? And people were doubting Sam Darnold in that game, and he proved them wrong there. Well, okay. Well, we'll see what he does in the playoffs. All he does is beat the Rams again, beat the 49ers, and then beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. He had no interceptions in any of those last games there, including that win over the 49ers in the season finale. He was just great. I think he really got into the flow of the offense and understood the importance of securing the football when your defense is dominating and you don't have to go out and win the game. When he played for the Jets, he had to try to win the game because they couldn't win it any other way. But with the Seahawks, you just play the game and you make some big time throws when you get a chance, but you don't have to force anything because that defense is going to pick you up. So it was really great to see him on the field after the game get emotional with his parents out there who have supported him all along. He just seems like a great person. He's very grounded, not cocky. He's very confident in himself, and you have to be, right, to get through those kind of failures that he had. I'll be curious to see if they extend him. He did sign that 3-year, $100.5 million contract coming into the season, but they might want to jump on extending that. They got lots of cap space. The cap's going to bloom. I don't think you want to wait another year to do that when that number's just going to keep going up and up and up and up. So maybe try to lock him in now while he's super happy might be a good idea. Okay. So, and obviously, none of this is possible without Coach Mike Macdonald. I wasn't sure what to think when Pete Carroll was fired. I was a little surprised that he was fired. I thought maybe he was a guy that you wait and see, wait until it gets really bad, or maybe he walks away just given all he had done for the franchise. But it turned out to be a great move and then a great hire by John Schneider to bring in Mike Macdonald. And the thing is, you never know. Never been a head coach before. There are no guarantees. But he's been everything and more that anyone could have expected. And I certainly would not have expected the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl in his second year. But they've built it up so quick, adding the players, and then he's just put it all together. I asked Ernest Jones earlier in the week, what his first impressions were of Mike Macdonald, and he was like, yeah, he was kind of a different guy. He does things in a different way. But once I got to know him, coolest guy I've ever known. So, and that's kind of, I think, how a lot of the players see him is, yeah, he's not exactly like us. No, he didn't play college football, barely played high school football. But he's a really smart guy, and he loves us, and he helps us love each other. He built that culture, and I just think that's a huge part of this. I mean, this team has great players, but they don't have a whole bunch of MVP candidates and Defensive Player of the Year type guys. It's just they all blend together in that culture. So, and that's Mike Macdonald doing that. He gets the guys to play for each other. If you look back at the LOB, and I still think the LOB right now, you got to call that the best defense the Seahawks have ever had, and that's one of the best in NFL history. Those guys, I think they kind of played for each other, but they also played a lot for themselves. They, as individuals, they like themselves an awful lot, and that's kind of what motivated them. But I think this year's team, there's a little bit more of playing for each other and helping your teammate reach their goals as well. You could see that, as I mentioned with Derek Hall, you could see throughout the week, this team was pretty loose. They were very easy to talk to. They are super cool, nice guys to talk to. you don't get a lot of ego when you go talk to them, and they just again just seemed like they were not overwhelmed by the moment. They were ready to go do this. It just seemed like another game to them, and they went in that game with full confidence. And obviously, we saw what that resulted in. So, hey, this franchise, folks, has a chance to make a run, and I'm hesitant to say that because I think we all said that back in 2013, and it didn't go quite like we thought. But this team, if they got to stay healthy and all the usual things that you say about any football team, but this team has a chance to do some special things going forward. We'll talk more about that in some upcoming episodes. What a ride, 12s. Your Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl 60 champions. Enjoy it. Enjoy every moment of these next few days. Go to the parade if you can. What a time. This is Aaron Coe, and thanks for watching Seahawks Now.